So anyway, that's the end of our Walking Dead walking talk doc walk.
Let's start the podcast. Hello and welcome to episode 52 of Between the Pixels, and we are double team partners and Reach. Mostly because I have nobody else to play with, so I had to put Jared.
I'm better than Devin. My name is Jared Reiman.
And I'm the Big L, aka Devin Miller.
Anyway, so this is our episode 52, 1 year podcast, more or less 1 year.
know.
Yeah, this big exciting podcast that we were planning on having has whittled down to just me and Devin. Justin, our editor-in-chief of Pixel Perfect, should be joining us shortly, hopefully. But, yeah, so 1 year-ish. It's technically like episode 51 because we never did an episode 1.
Yeah, well, technically, we started with them last year in like August or September, and now it's like the mid of October. Yeah. So it has been over a year. But we're not celebrating yet. And to celebrate, the site's going down.
To celebrate, we're not doing anything special at all.
Yeah.
Happy 1 year anniversary, guys.
But it's Halloween coming up, so we decided to play some scary games. And me and you agreed to play as much as we could through Obscure.
I haven't played any of Obscure yet. Obscure 2, to be specific. I played the first Obscure on the original Xbox, and then Devin picked up Obscure 2 for PS2, and I have it on Wii.
See, that would be the worst part. I wouldn't want to play that game for the Wii. I don't really want to play any game for the Wii.
I mean, I played a little bit. When I first got it, I played like an hour of it with a friend. And, I mean, it was terrible, but that's what was fun about it. But yeah, the controlling wasn't that fun. Because having to waggle when you attack stuff was annoying.
The handling isn't really that bad on the PS2, I don't think. At least I haven't been in a situation where I'm like, oh my gosh, if this just handled better. Because I'm not really that far into it, but it's not that bad. I could imagine doing it on the Wii, but it's not that bad.
You haven't played any of the first Obscure, right?
No, I've never played either of them.
Oh.
And when I was going to pick that one up, I kind of remember you saying like how bad that one was, but I didn't really care. I just went to GameStop specifically to get like a scary game that I haven't played before, so I could play it for Halloween this month.
The second one specifically is the one that I said was bad. The first one was a game that was actually pretty fun. It was, I mean, it was kind of cheesy, but it was games, like video games, don't really try for anything original, I guess. And this was a little bit original in the sense that it was going for some... Okay, it was original for video games, but it wasn't original in the movie scene because there's tons of teen movie horror movies out there. And this was kind of playing off of that, trying to be one of those, but a video game. And it did a decent job of it. It was...
What was the first one about? Because this one's a sequel. Oh.
They're in a school. It's weird. They're in a school and weird things start happening, but I don't remember what was the cause of anything. I just remember running around the school and...
Did it have anything to do with flowers and like herbs or plants?
I don't think so.
Like, because I think that's what the second one's about, and it's just kind of weird.
I don't think so.
Some kind of like drug, like, or some kind of herb that you take. Like in the second one, they're college kids, and you kind of get this trip on this drug, and that is part of the scary part because then you go on this trip and you're like in a different dimension or
it's
different
scary
world.
Because you're tripping balls.
Yeah, so you're tripping like crazy.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to make an effort to play a lot of that this week so we can talk about it next week.
Yeah, I also bought Fatal Frame 1 and 2. So now I have the first 3, and I would like to start playing through the first one as well.
Have you played any of those yet?
I played the third one. No, I haven't played the first 1 and 2. But I did play the third one a little bit. And I got too scared and turned it off and never played it again.
The second one's a lot better than the first one, I think. I haven't finished either of them, but I've played them both a good bit.
The first one is based on a true story.
Yeah, supposedly.
Then the other ones aren't.
So those are the scary games you're playing this month?
Yeah, I'm gonna try to play through try to start Fatal Frame 1. I think they're all separate stories, so it doesn't really matter which one I play.
No, yeah, you can just play them in whatever order.
So if I don't like the first one, I might just try the second one. But yeah, that and Obscure, and we played through The Walking Dead, which we'll talk about a little bit later. Do you play anything
Well,
else?
yeah, the only scary game that I'm playing right now is Dead Space 2. I played the original Dead Space through, and I liked it well enough. I mean, it wasn't scary, but it was fun. I like space. I like space. So basically,
You liked Dead Space 1 a lot, or?
yeah. I mean, I like the setting more than anything else. I like being on. I like when you're on a ship and it's feel. I just like space settings in general. So I like being on the ship, and I like some of the your low gravity, zero gravity moments. But I mean, like the enemies and the story for the most part is forgettable. Like the
Mhm.
enemies aren't like scary or really fascinating to look at or to fight. The weaponry is okay.
But you just end
Um,
up using the same two weapons pretty much the whole time, just upgrading those.
More or
That's what I
less.
did. Yeah. I had some complaints about Dead Space 1 because I felt like I was just doing the same thing the whole entire game. Like it was always about fixing the ship that you're on to get out of there, or like getting parts from the place that you're at. So like every time you're like in a new area, but it kind of like all looks the same, and you go through the whole place, kill whatever enemies are there, pick up what you need, and come back into the ship or like your main ship, and then there's like a diagram like, oh, now you fix this part, next chapter. It was like that
Yeah.
throughout the whole game. It is kind of the same thing over and over.
I actually like the second one a lot better in every aspect. And there's a big issue I think at first when it's like, oh, Isaac's talking now, which at first I kind of had a problem with that because it's not like I necessarily like the silent protagonist over the speaking protagonist more. It's just like if you're gonna have a character not speak, just keep with it. But it works fine. I don't see any problems with Isaac talking in the second one. I don't feel like I feel less attached to Isaac than I did before because I didn't really feel attached to Isaac. I didn't feel like I was Isaac in the first one. So, it doesn't make a difference that he's talking in the second one. I love environments. I think they do a great job of making the environments interesting and fun to walk around in.
That's good.
The enemies are the same. The weapons pretty much the same. The sound design in Dead Space 2 is absolutely fantastic. That's probably one of its strongest points. I throw on my headset and to get into it, throw on my headset, turn all the lights off, turn the volume way up. Sounds great.
Like the
Um,
effects and stuff, or is there like
Everything, just
music with it?
the voice acting, the effects, yeah, the subtle. There's not a ton of music. Of course, there's in a scary game. There's going to be quiet moments, so uh, there's not sound effects for that. But when you're walking around, if you're shooting, just little things here and there, sound effects that happen throughout the world. It all sounds pretty good. I know there's people complaining about the second Dead Space. I think it got pretty good reviews, but people complaining about it, how they instead of going for like the scariness that they did in the first one, they upped the gore in the second one and tried to make it more gorier because that I guess was their way of making it scary. But I don't feel that way at all. I don't know where those complaints come from because when I play it, it seems just as gory as the first one. I mean, other than the beginning, that guy slitting his own throat, there really hasn't been,
That was pretty cool.
which was a cool saying. Yeah, there hasn't been really anything that was.
Because that beginning part, I really liked the beginning part. I think I remember that correctly. Like you're in like a straight jacket. Is that right?
Yeah,
Like you can't move your arms. Like you're stuck in that jacket, and you have to run away from the enemies. Kind of that disempowerment.
yeah. That I mean, that was okay. It was kind of short, but
Yeah.
it was an okay. It wasn't a super exciting intro. Um, Justin's here, so we're going to invite him into the call.
Yeah, this whole video thing is bullshit. I didn't have a shirt on, and then I had to go put on a shirt.
You didn't have to put a shirt on. There's no rules.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be crude, guys. Fuck. Devin, having never actually seen you on video chat before, you look like a cross between Krang from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and an anime character.
You look like Craig.
Wait a second.
Oh,
Have you never watched one video
bad at all.
podcast that we did?
No, I don't have a lot of time to watch them. I can listen to them like on a pair of headphones when I'm at work, but I can't watch them. so I've never actually watched it before. Your voice is deceiving. I didn't expect you to be. You sound not quite big enough to kick my ass, and I look at you, and you're definitely big enough to kick my ass.
Yeah, you've got a pussy voice, but
That's what everyone says to me too. Like I was expecting you to have a way deeper voice than that. How deep do you want it?
Don't ever do that again.
Probably didn't.
Not on video. Don't ever do that again on video.
Probably didn't help.
No, I was
keep
just
that
very
extra
surprised. I was like, holy crap. Devin's going to kick my ass one day. Just
Devin's never
inherently.
been in a fight.
I've been in. Shut up! I've been in plenty of fights.
You haven't been in any fights.
Well, every fight that I've been in, I've won.
The only fight we almost ever got in together, you ran from. So
We're not gonna tell that story.
I'm not going to tell the story.
He ran home and lifted weights.
Yeah, exactly. Because those guys were huge,
Yeah,
and they were gay.
Is that what caused you to start lifting and get so big?
Yeah, in case I'm ever in that situation again. Well, it would never happen because they'll look at me and then they will be the ones running.
Do you want to do an introduction to edit in? Like, just to be like, hi, I'm here.
Heck no, Justin's here.
Yeah.
Hello! Look at that.
There we go. He just appeared. Justin Brenis, our editor-in-chief, has joined us today.
Are you going to
Back
play any
again.
scary games? That's what we were just talking about, the scary games we're playing this month for Halloween.
I don't know, does Dishonored count as a scary game?
No.
No,
No.
not at all.
How about Borderlands 2?
Borderlands 2 can get scary sometimes, but not necessarily scary like, but scary like, I'm going to die because these monsters are fucking hard.
If that's not what they're going
Walking
for.
Dead, though.
Walking Dead has got its fright moments. I think there were a lot more WTF fright moments in episode 3 than episode 4. But episode 4, there were some moments where I was like, "What the hell?"
Are we talking about right now?
Wait, no. We'll talk about Walking Dead episode 4 in just a minute. We're gonna have a spoiler-free section, and then we're gonna talk about some actual spoilers. But first, Justin, you reviewed Borderlands 2. It's a little bit old, but you never got to come on the podcast to talk about it. If you listened to the podcast, you probably heard me and Devin talk a little bit about it. But what do you think about Borderlands? You gave it a pretty good score.
I'm infinitely impressed with Borderlands 2. And this is, like, if you read my review, this is coming from someone who hated Borderlands 1. I tolerated it, I played it, I thought it was Gearbox's very first immature outing into the realm of first-person shooters, and they were very ambitious to combine the RPG elements into a shooter. I thought that wasn't a bad idea. It wasn't a great idea. It wasn't something that really caught my interest. And I thought a lot of the jokes they were jokes for the sake of being ridiculous, and that doesn't always get me. The one that really stands out is that first boss, Nine Toes. It was, you encounter him and it's like, 9 toes. He also has 3 testicles.
I don't remember Borderlands 1 at all.
It was
You're
brown.
not missing much. Yeah, it was brown and it was generically funny, and that's about as much as you can say about it. And my friends really liked it, but I never got the hang of it. My character was always fighting for its life. I could never get a second win. And eventually I just gave up. And when I actually reviewed the first one a week after it came out. I played it for 3 hours, 1 hour by myself, 2 hours with some friends, and then I reviewed it. And I said in the review, I didn't finish this game, but I'm not going to finish this game. It's terrible. I hated it. And it just doesn't work for me. And then a buddy of mine got it, and he was like, we should play it. And I was like, okay, this is, right after they announced 2. So we played through it together beginning to end, and it was okay. It wasn't great. But Borderlands 2, I don't know what it is. I'm loving the hell out of it. I feel like Gearbox as a company grew up a little bit. I think that they were a little humiliated by what happened with Duke Nukem Forever. I think that they really read the pulse of the industry better. The characters balance off each other better. You care more about the characters in Borderlands 2, not just the playable characters, but the NPCs. And in Handsome Jack, they created an enemy that you just love to hate. And they didn't have that in the first one. The first one, it was just all these people are going to try to stop you from getting to the vault. And then, does this count as a spoiler alert if I talk about the end of the first one?
No.
Not anymore.
Oh.
It's been long.
You open the vault and it's like the vault is the bad guy. Oh no, there's a monster in here. And then you had to play the General Knox thing if you wanted to see the real ending, the DLC, whatever. And I can't endorse that. That kind of pisses me off. So I don't know. This game, I'm just loving it. The weapons are fun. The soundtrack is phenomenal, and that's coming from someone who doesn't care about video game music at all. I just can't stop playing it. I noticed a lot of people have stopped, but that's because the holiday release schedule is crazy this year. But it's been very hard for me to get headlong into Dishonored because I keep going back to Borderlands 2. So I really kudos to the guys at Gearbox who don't listen to this podcast.
I want to.
Good for them. I mean, they did a great job with it. I'm very impressed.
Me and Devin already talked about this on the podcast, but I kind of want to go back. Like, we haven't gone back to play it at all. We haven't finished it, and I honestly don't know if I'm going to go back and finish it. Me and Devin, I know, like, the whole time we were playing, he couldn't get into it as much. I enjoyed it a lot more than the first one, at least. My biggest problem with the first one were the classes. I don't think the classes mattered at all in the first one. And again, in the second one, I don't think they matter either. And that's probably a whole other discussion in of itself. But there were a lot of improvements I saw in the second one. But
still,
I don't think I'm going to go back to play it.
Why don't you think they matter? What is it about the... I mean, I agree with you in the first game. It didn't matter what you were as long as you were fast with your gun.
Well, I think both in the first and the second one, what I want from a class is to be, like in any other RPG, if you look at like Diablo or something like that, and I know it's not the same as Diablo, I get that, but when you look at a game like that, the classes actually matter. They're actually diverse, and when you play together, you can work together. You can have a healing class, you can have a stronger tank class, you can have a class that might be distributing ammo, kind of referencing some of the first game here, but they have different abilities that can work together. But when me and Devin play, we pretty much just play separately, do our own thing, and we do perfectly fine. I mean, well, the second one, you get killed a lot. It's a lot harder than the first one, but...
Really? I disagree a little bit. This one, I'm getting killed more, but I'm second winding more.
That is true, but I mean, it's hard in the sense that we are getting killed more. Yeah, we can second wind a lot easier, but we're still getting killed a lot more. It seems... Like, the first one, we played through, and it was a breeze. Like, we had no problems with the first one. And we pretty much just played independently. Like, me, Devin, and then our one other friend jumped in a couple times, but we all just went our separate ways when we got into an area and just did our own thing, and we were fine. And I played a Berserker, Devin played a Hunter, and our other friend played the Soldier, whatever that other class was. And
well, I think in this game, the classes really do balance well. Like, I'm playing as the Gunzerker. In this one, and that suits my play style to a T. When I play shooters, I'm a run and gun, shoot and loot, or what's the other one? Spray and pray, I think is one that I heard. That's my style, and I like that they built the class tree for the Gunzerker in a couple different fashions. So I'm doing the one that's all about building up health and strength and recovery so that I can really go in there and tank these guys. And this is something, I don't play Diablo, I don't play WoW, I don't play games where the classes really matter, but I play with my friend who's an assassin or my friend who's a siren, and I run down in there. My friend who's a siren will phase lock one of the bigger enemies. I'll run in, I'll weaken that guy. My friend who's an assassin is up on the hill, and he's sniping to pick off the guys that I'm leaving. And I think they balance really well. In the first game, it was just, get in there and kill everything. But I get what you're saying. I think that a little bit of that is inherent to the style that it is. It's an RPG in a really loose sense, but when all you're using is guns, and everyone uses guns, it's very hard to have those subtle differences.
Yeah, I know. I guess I'm expecting something that probably would never even happen, because in their mind, they're probably not even thinking. They're probably thinking shooter first, make it a solid shooter first, and then add some of the small RPG elements around the outside. And I get that, but for me, I would rather have it be much more class focused, and where classes have to depend on each other and stuff. So that was my biggest complaint. But the second one, I do think it's improved in a lot of ways, especially the environment is a lot better.
The environment is where it's at. I think that's the biggest improvement, and the one that I care about the most. The environment looks way better. They took Borderlands 1 and just like copied and pasted it and just improved on some things. That's exactly how I feel about it, and that doesn't make me want to play it again. I have no idea how we made it through the first game.
I think the first was ugly and boring and just brown. I couldn't
Well,
stand
yeah,
the
they
first one, but
replaced
this
the
one.
environment, but everything else seems the same. I mean, they have
Oh, you
random
mean?
weapons now and everything. I just feel the same when I play this game. Like I play this game for an hour and I'm bored.
But you liked the
Maybe,
first one a lot. You were way into that more than I was.
I don't know. I wasn't
maybe
really into it, but it was all right.
I just feel like maybe I'm looking at it wrong. I don't know because I really hated the first game, and I don't know why I'm enjoying. I'm playing this one solo, and that's something I could not even tolerate in Borderlands 1. And I can sit down for like 2 hours and kill 4 side quests, and I'm perfectly satisfied even if I don't have anybody to play with. And that game is designed for co-op play. It's not even really designed for solo play.
Yeah, no, it was the same for me. Like when we first started playing, I even re-rolled a second character to play without Devin, and I liked it at first, but I don't know, something just hit me. I'm just like I just hit that wall of like this is the same thing again. You know, it's just more of the same, and it's not good enough for me.
Yeah.
I guess like those games work for certain people. Obviously, there's an audience; they do well, but I don't know. It just doesn't affect me that way.
I don't know. I mean, I know we're not quite moving on yet, but I thought I was going to completely fall head over heels for Dishonored after I played it at E3. And, I'm playing Dishonored and I'll stop about, 20 minutes, 30 minutes into Dishonored. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go play some more Borderlands. I'm just going to, I'm going to play in a game where the consequences don't matter for a little bit because Dishonored is so consequence heavy that it's stifling to a degree.
Well, let's talk about that. How we've all played Dishonored. None of us have finished it, right?
No, I'm not even
No,
close.
no.
I just rescued what's her name. I'm not gonna,
Yeah.
don't want to give away too much.
So, what is it about Dishonored that you don't? Just because of the consequences? Is that the biggest thing?
I don't know. When I played it at E3, pardon me, bless you. When I played it at E3, I just loved the open worldness of the mission. Like it was within the confines of the mission to be able to go, I'm going to go on the roof, or I'm going to go down the street, or I'm going to go in the sewer, or I'm going to do this or that, and I don't have to do it one particular way. It was really, really cool, and I enjoyed the aspects of it. But I feel like when they broadened
It's still that way, though.
It is. But I feel like when they broaden that to the entire world of the game, I go in and be like, okay, your goal is this is point A, this is point C. You can go through point B, which is usually some kind of side quest, or you can keep going and just go straight to C and back. And when you're doing it, well, I can go on the rooftops or I can kill these guards. And I don't know, I just feel so overwhelmed. I sit there and I look at the city map and I go, what can I do? Where can I go? Do I want to be lethal? Do I want to be non-lethal? And it's just a play style that I'm readjusting to. And I think that's because I went from the confines of a platformer in Darksiders 2 to this open world mayhem engine that is Borderlands, and now into a game where you really have to fine-tune and consider your actions. And I don't know, I feel so overwhelmed when I play. And it's a turnoff almost, but I know how much I loved the game for all those same things just 4 months ago. So I'm trying to wean myself off Borderlands and see if maybe looking at it through a slightly different lens doesn't help. But at the moment, I'm just so overwhelmed by everything that's going on in that game.
How did you feel about Skyrim?
I never touched Skyrim. I already knew that game wasn't for me.
Oh.
I don't.
Just because of the same thing, you'd be really overwhelmed by all the options.
I'd be overwhelmed. And I like Bethesda games. Don't get me wrong. I loved Fallout 3, and that had a ton of options. I'm on the fence about New Vegas, but we don't have to get into that. I have my reasons.
New Vegas is better.
What?
So New Vegas is better.
3 is better. Yeah.
I agree with Devin. New Vegas is not better than 3.
Why isn't Chase here?
Yes!
New Vegas, the whole game ended halfway through the game.
We're not going to have another 20-minute talk on which one's better.
Anyway, regardless, we'll skip ahead. I just know by my own game styles that fantasy RPG just isn't for me, and that's why I tend to avoid it. I loved BioWare's, I love Mass Effect. I hated Dragon Age. I love Fallout. I'm going to hate, Skyrim. That's just, I know my play style.
Well, I mean, for me with Dishonored, at the beginning, I was very excited for Dishonored before it came out because it has a lot of pedigree behind it. It had Harvey Smith, who has worked on the Deus Ex games. It has the guy that I can't think of his name, who worked on the City 17 for Half-Life 2, the level design of that. And it had a number of people who have worked on series that I really enjoy that are kind of in the same vein as Dishonored. So I was really excited. But when I first started playing this isn't any spoilers, but like when you start at the prison, you're breaking out of the prison, like that initial play through that prison till you actually get out of there, I was really disappointed because I was like, this is not enjoyable at all. I thought it had a really slow start, but once I got out of the prison and got into the open area, and then I was able, it opens up and you can explore more, and you're able to really, you're not shot down a linear path. I'm really starting to enjoy Dishonored a lot.
Is anybody? What difficulty are you guys playing on?
I guess just the normal.
Normal? Because I'm on normal too. Am I the only one that finds that the AI is incredibly stupid in this game?
Yeah,
especially in the prison.
It just seems really easy right now.
Yeah, because the scope of what they can see is kind of small. It seems like.
Yeah,
like their vision cones.
Yeah.
If you look in the opening scene of the prison, and you're out of your cell and you get your sword and you sneak around that bend, and there's 3 guards. There's the one facing away from you, there's the one facing perpendicular to him, and there's the one that walks up and down the room.
Right.
And they all talk. I wait for him to finish talking. I suffocate the guy with his back to me. I drag him. I throw him in my prison cell. The guy perpendicular to him, if it was, obviously you have to give some exception, but if it was a real person, that's clearly in his peripheral. Does not even realize this guy is gone. No way this guy could have left that room without passing his field of view, but the guy is just mysteriously gone, and he doesn't seem to be the slightly alerted. But
but that's every video game AI. Can you name any game that recognizes it like, hey, my buddy's not here?
Metal Gear.
There are games. There are games that have better AI sensibility.
Oh, no, I'm not saying this one is great. I'm just saying, like, that specific thing, like, there's tons of games that don't recognize they're missing buddies.
But isn't that kind of an aspect of this game, though? Is the whole point of being that sly assassin is that the guys are supposed to notice when bodies go missing, so they go looking, and then you have to be more crafty, because then there's the guy pacing up and down the room. I take out the guy that was perpendicular to the original guy. That guy is the only one that enters and exits the room. He comes back in the room, both guys are gone. He's not even the least bit concerned. And just some sense of, AI realizing when the space has changed. I don't know what it is.
I know what you mean. It's just like, I don't know how they could do that. I mean, always putting guys on alert and stuff, then I feel like I'm playing a Metal Gear Solid game, and that's just annoying when that happens.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, I want to believe there's a happy medium. And then the other thing that irks me is that I swore when I started playing Dishonored that this run-through was going to be non-lethal. And then there's little things that happen that are outside of your control, and when they happen, well, I mean, I guess they're not.
You kind of just have to.
Control. I mean, like, I accidentally killed this one guy because I tried to pitch his body to this grate right by my feet, but he went over the railing, and he fell and he died. And I was like, okay, well, you know what? It's just one death. That's not a big deal. It'll be okay. And then I had a sleep dart, and I shot this guy with a sleep dart, and he was standing by the water, and he collapsed and rolled into the water and drowned because he was asleep underwater. And, it went from me going, okay, this is going to be non-lethal. I think I've racked up 37 kills.
Holy crap.
That happens to me in every friggin' Bethesda game. And I know it's an arcade.
Maybe you're just not very good at stealth.
No, I'm clear. In Batman, I am. When I play Batman, I'm very good at stealth. But if Batman was made by Bethesda, I'd be killing everybody. I know, that's what I'm saying. I'd find a way. If Batman was made by Bethesda, I would kill everybody. And this happened to me in Fallout 3, happened to me in New Vegas. I think I'm choosing the right speech options to make friends. Next thing I know, I say something, they've got a gun pointed at me. And so I've racked up so many kills, and the city is super infested with rats, and there's weepers everywhere.
Isn't that the point? The rat plague?
The more you kill, the more rats show up.
Yeah, the more you kill, and the worse the plague gets. It depending on how many guys you kill. So, but I'm trying. Any given opportunity I have, I try to non-lethal as opposed to lethal. Most of the guys. And there's a real strange. I feel the morality in Dishonored is very gray, but not in that good way, not in the Walking Dead way.
I mean, I haven't gotten that far to really
Have you
judge
done?
it, but
Did you do the mission for the granny woman?
I did
yeah,
one, yeah.
Granny Rags.
Did you do the one that? Did you do the one at the distillery?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did that one, and then right after I did that, I found a book, and the book is like you should. Basically, it doesn't say you shouldn't have done that, but it gives you a very good reason why you shouldn't have. And then and then later on, you do a mission for the guys in the distillery, and they're just like, "Yeah, I hope we catch the jerk who did that." And I hope that, and that's just the game giving you story to do, but I just feel like, where are the consequences? Yeah, if I kill people, rats show up, and there's more people that are infected with the plague. But...
I mean, I don't know if it's really that type of game. I mean, for me, maybe I'm just being a little nostalgic with this, but for me, it kind of reminds me of games of years gone past. This is very much old school PC gaming in a lot of ways. I mean, it's been updated to it, so it's been more acceptable for this generation. But in a lot of ways, this really feels like old school Thief. It's got some Deus Ex in there. Some of the design elements look like Half-Life 2, but it's really got like a Deus Ex and Thief feel to it. If you've played those games, you'll know exactly what I mean when you play this game. But I don't know. It's like some of that stuff doesn't bother me. Maybe it's just because I have kind of a nostalgia for those old games where it's crappy AI and you're going around and just hiding bodies and stuff. I don't know, Devin. What are your initial impressions of it?
I liked it a lot, actually. I don't have really any of the complaints that Justin does about the AI or anything like that. I think it's a pretty fun game, and I really like the environment. I don't have the nostalgia like you either, Jared. But as far as being like an old PC game, I never played Thief, but this game looks like it's actually living up to what it looked like in the trailers and what other people were saying about it before. I'm not that far into it, but from what I can tell, like it handles pretty well, and I really like the environment, and enemy AI doesn't really bother me. I've been able to do a lot of non-lethal kills.
Yeah, I know. Keep going. There's someone at our door. Hold on.
Cool. I've been able to do non-lethal kills without any problem. I don't know if Justin's just bad at playing it and trying to do stealth, or what's going on, but and he has bad communication. He has bad communication skills because he doesn't know the difference between the moralities. And
I don't know. I'm liking it a lot. I mean, I'm not far enough to talk too in depth about it, but so far I'm enjoying it. Now I'm playing it on PC. So are you? Are you playing with the 360 controller or mouse and keyboard?
The 360 controller.
How's that playing? I haven't plugged in the 360 controller at all.
I like it.
Nobody cares what you have to say, Devin.
I care.
Okay. No, sorry, I didn't. We had somebody come to the door, and I had to go see who it was.
Who was it?
It was our upstairs neighbor.
Do they want to come on the podcast?
Yeah.
No.
Talk about games?
No. You don't want to be my upstairs neighbor.
I do now.
No, you don't.
I do.
She's a unique brand of crazy.
Oh shoot!
She into me?
The girl next door, man. The girl upstairs.
No. The demon upstairs.
She hot?
No.
Oh, darn.
Anyway, so sorry about that. But
so you're playing Dishonored on 360, right, Justin?
Yeah, it's the only system I got.
Okay. Well, we're playing on PC. I was just wondering.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know. I'm gonna finish it, and the story is interesting enough. I think that and I mean, maybe this is another element of old PC games, but I think they really screwed the pooch as far as any kind of mystery goes, because I would have loved to have seen just a little bit of that BioShock-style intrigue. Was it those guys? Was it not those guys? It was set up where it really looked like those guys that did the Empress Inn or whatever. But then you're in jail, and it's like it's like, yeah, we did it. Sorry, you were just in the right place at the wrong time. We're totally guilty. It was us. Come get us.
Yeah, it's more of a revenge type game, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward in terms of story.
That's the thing. You want to talk, and this is going to sound really stupid, but as far as a revenge game goes, I have more of a vengeance thing going on with Handsome Jack than I do with any of the characters in Dishonored. I didn't care about the Empress. I don't give a shit about her kid. because it all happens so fast. I have no attachment to these characters.
No, I agree. I mean, there is no attachment there because you meet this character, and then you're somehow supposed to care about these other characters that he cares about. I know it's an unrealistic thing. I don't know. I don't think the story is even as strong. Like, that's not the strong focus of what Dishonored is anyway.
Yeah.
It's certainly not a great story.
I guess I got out of Dishonored what I expected and what I wanted, and I thought at E3 that it could hold out for longer than a level, and I think that I'm having trouble sustaining my interest in this style longer than a level, and that is hard. And it also falls into that same trap that it's next to impossible to have any kind of platforming in a first-person shooter where you can't see your feet.
Well, I don't do. Do you do a lot of platforming? I don't.
I mean, I have Blink fully upgraded, but sometimes I'll try to climb something because it might be faster than aiming Blink, and sometimes it's very hard to get the climbing, and I'll end up jumping off something and right into a pile of guards.
You ever play Mirror's Edge?
I did play Mirror's Edge. Mirror's Edge made me nauseous.
You're just constantly vomiting while playing.
Yeah, more or less. Just had a trash can right next to me. But no, it was. Like I said, I don't hate Dishonored. I think I just really enjoyed that one level, which is the level I'm actually on right now in the game. I really enjoyed that one level at E3, and then now that I can play all of it, and I have the world at my fingertips per se, it's not keeping me there. It's not hooking me. And like I said, that can very largely be because I went from Borderlands to Dishonored, and they're two completely different styles.
What you still thinking about getting the Dishonored tattoo on your forearm?
I mean, I would like to. It was my favorite game at the show. It's a good way to remember, the show, but I don't know if I'm going to get that or some other game at this point. I mean, if it's an E3 tattoo, it'll be the Dishonored one. I was actually at one point thinking of getting the Assassin's Creed, the Hidden Blade armlet thing. Getting
the entire thing?
Like,
your whole arm is just an Assassin's Creed?
Not my whole arm, just this part of my arm. Just like
you should cut your finger off and then have
the finger.
You should actually get a blade implanted into your arm that you can actually swing out.
Well, now at GameStop for $40, they actually sell the whole unit with the hidden blade and everything.
I bet Brian wears that to work every day.
We actually one of the guys at GameStop where I go to get my games bought one, and they opened it up when I was there, and it's really cool. The hidden blade is rubber, obviously, but the whole unit is pretty cool for the most part. So is it worth $40? Probably not, but it's cool to see.
Is it worth getting beat up over? Because that's what'll happen if you wear it.
Oh yeah, no, you're gonna get the shit kicked out of you if you wear it outside the house.
Replace it with a real knife.
They make, if you go to medieval fairs, you can get real hidden arm blades and stuff like that. They sell that crap.
That's weird.
My cousin, sells weapons at the medieval fair. I don't know who works for
my mom.
I don't know who works for this website, and I don't know who's in my family anymore. I don't know.
My dad. Oh wait, your sister. I knew a guy that used to sit and work on chainmail while we worked in the same place, and it was a customer service call center. He just had this giant thing of chainmail that we would work on.
That's pretty cool.
While I was working. Yeah, and then he'd just stand up and randomly not randomly, but he'd put it on and try it on to himself and move around and stuff.
That is pretty funny considering he's sitting in a cubicle taking customer calls from an internet service.
Yeah, they don't know that on the other side there's this almost 7 foot tall bald guy wearing chainmail shaking around.
Now I'm just going to assume that's always who I'm talking to when I call customer service.
Yeah, most of those people are weird. So let's talk about episode 4 of The Walking Dead.
That sucked. I'm just kidding.
Amazing. Mind blown.
It was really
Justin
good.
put a review up on the website. I want to talk vaguely about it first, and then we're going to have a spoiler section where we can go in depth about it. So,
because I was going to say, this is going to be really hard to talk about generally.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, just the general for the people who haven't played any Walking Dead. By now, you should know that it is a fantastic video game series that you should
Whoa,
be
Jared.
playing,
Whoa.
and I think we all agree on that. But so episode 4 sees our characters. This isn't a spoiler. Well, I mean, maybe it is, but our characters are now in a new area. I don't know how to.
They're trying to
approach
look
this.
for something that floats on the water, so
Yeah,
they
they're
can
looking
get
for
out.
a boat in a new area. Okay, I don't know how to really approach this without talking about
I mean,
spoilers.
in the review, I talk about where they went. I mean, I don't think that's really a spoiler. It's a motivation for the characters in the game, but it's I mean, that's not really something that's going to spoil it for you.
Okay, well, let me start it out with this. I know how you guys feel about it.
Drop a beat.
Let me drop the beat here. Drop a bomb on you guys. I think episode 4 is probably the weakest of all the episodes.
Oh.
I think that it's different than the other episodes. There's a lot of external conflict and Lee-focused conflict as opposed to group, conflict. But I don't think it's the weakest. I thought, if you want to talk about the weakest, I think episode 1 is the weakest. It's all exposition. But, I mean, you had to have a weak exposition to start it off. And plus, if it's the natural following of a story, if you're following a regular story arc, episode 3 is going to be the climax. And then 4 and 5 are, you got the denouement or whatever that French word is. And then you've got the ending.
I'm not looking for, like, this crazy 4th episode like it wasn't like the second episode. I thought the second episode was probably the strongest episode yet.
I thought 3 was the best. Yeah,
I thought 3 was pretty good. But
3
I thought
go on.
Well, like every other episode, yeah, I have my favorites, but every other episode had a little bit of an emotional roller coaster to it, and this one felt the most flat and just like the whole time it was just like one tone the whole entire way, and it evoked no emotions from me at all.
Are we talking spoilers yet or no?
Not even close.
Okay, because I
have a lot of examples that I want to talk about.
I'm going to yell at you when we start talking specifics, but for right now, I think episode 3 set the bar so high for those emotional what the fuck moments because there were just so many of them. Like there were times where I thought I had reached a lull in episode 3, and it was just never ending. But there are so many things that happened in episode 4 that maybe on an individual level are, individually not particularly strong, but when you add them up, there's so much that happens in episode 4 that I can't believe you're saying that there's no emotional variance.
All right. So now let's leave it there. If you want to hear more about The Walking Dead, then you should just play it. And then you can come back and listen to this part. But I'm going to put an annotation if you're watching the video. If you're listening to the audio, there's going to be some dead air, and then I'll tell you where you can skip to if you want to skip over all the spoilers. But we're going to talk about spoilers right now. We're going to spoil if you haven't played up to episode 4 and through episode 4, you're not going to want to listen to this because we're going to spoil everything. Alright, this is spoiler territory, folks, so if you don't want anything spoiled for The Walking Dead episode 4 or any of the previous Walking Dead episodes, then you need to jump to 1 hour and 22 minutes, roughly picks up spoiler-free from there. Let's talk, before we get directly into some specific spoilers, I wanted to say that I felt like one of the reasons I felt like this was one of the weakest ones, like I love Gary Whitta. He's the guy who wrote this one, and he's been in the gaming industry for a long time. Now he's also written the Book of Eli and some other stuff. But I've always been a fan.
Television show.
Oh yeah, he's worked on the Walking Dead television show. So he's worked on stuff that I enjoy. But in this episode, I felt like they didn't take any risks. Like in every other episode, there was always risks that were taken, both within like the characters' interactions with each other, also to the characters' lives. Like everything felt like there was a lot of risks, and everything was walking on a tightrope. But this one, it didn't feel like that at all. It felt like kind of just very somber and just kind of going about the motion, same, going on, whatever, you know what I'm saying.
I think that a lot of the things they tried to do in the episode that maybe were going to be the things that were taking risks and pushing it and all that kind of stuff. Like, and since we can talk spoilers now, the little zombie boy in the attic.
That was one of the first things I was going to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, I think that because that was one of the first big things you run into, and the last big thing from the last episode was having to shoot Duck if you chose to do that. I think as much as I hated Duck as a character, and I found him to be pretty much useless, and that's maybe because I care too much about Clementine, so I like her better than I like Duck. But that was so much more emotionally involved that now that it's like, okay, well, this kid's already a zombie. You know, it's really sad that he starved to death. There was absolutely no emotional connection to this kid. You know, why don't we, I didn't have as much of a problem putting a bullet in him as I did putting one in Duck.
Yeah, and I had a huge problem with that whole scene because had we not had to kill Duck in the previous episode, that probably would have been a more powerful scene. But it wasn't at all.
Yeah, I mean,
there was nothing.
You're shooting a child. It should be emotional, but
yeah. But I mean, I don't want to sound
before. Like, why would they do it again with a less important character that's like never been around?
I don't think any of us care about Duck, and the way Duck died really wasn't. It wasn't so much like I didn't think that was a powerful scene because it was Duck dying. It was like you're actually shooting the kid, and you can choose whether or not to shoot him. And you know, if you're putting yourself in their place, that can be a pretty crazy moment in your life.
Well, considering that playing as Lee, I did not shoot him. I made his dad shoot him, so I actually didn't shoot him. So it wasn't that bad.
I shot him.
I shot him as well.
I think a lot of people.
I was trying to win a little bit of Kenny back because he was just being such a dick, and that's
what Kenny is.
I think he didn't start out that way for me. He got worse as we went on, but he didn't. Start out
he was a dick from the beginning. More or less.
He does get worse, but I think he was a big dick.
I thought shooting the kid, and I think the only other thing that made that even more ridiculous was the elongated burial sequence.
Yeah, having to dig. I understand the powerful moment behind it, like what he was going for, but it's already kind of been done, so it didn't have a big effect. If we never shot a kid up until this point, and then we see this starving kid, he starved to death, and then he turned into a zombie. Like, that's crazy. And then you have to kill him. So yeah, that would be tough. And then having to bury him, I get that, but
I feel like the burial moment was lost on him because they didn't do it to Duck.
That is true. They just left Duck to rot next to a tree.
Yeah, I mean, if they had done the burial thing with Duck, but I mean, it's a storytelling moment. They wanted to do it because they needed some reason for Lee to be outside alone to see that shadow approach the fence. But I feel like that could have been accomplished by making them put like 2 pieces of dirt on this kid and then make it a video sequence.
Yeah.
Now, you skip like 4 times or something ridiculous like that.
Yeah, and the dead dog with the.
And in between, you can like stare at the little boy in the grave. Like you could throw some dirt on and then look at him like, all right, now he's 30% covered. All right, now he's 50% covered. You just stare at like his shoes hanging out.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't know. I get like the whole thing. All I know is that as far as the whole Duck thing goes, it really just made me pissed at Ben because Ben fucked up and I had to shoot a kid because he fucked up. You know, and
that's all Ben is, though.
I love Ben in these episodes.
He's such an idiot. Ben. I despise Ben, and I saved him.
Oh,
so did I
too. I think that was a big point in episode 4 was the whole entire conflict between Ben and Lee, whether or not to tell them or not, tell Kenny. Like I really like that whole aspect, and then you get to choose whether or not he lives. So you're like, I mean, he already said. Well, no, did he say about saying something to Kenny before that?
Yeah, he had told Kenny.
Okay, so you already know that's going to happen. Now you're like, should I let him die? Because then Kenny's a big dick about everything, but do you still want to be on his side or not?
See, but the thing with Ben and the whole death scene with Ben, and I know we're jumping way ahead because that's way near the end of the episode. But the thing with the death scene with Ben is that it was so different than any other death scene because, in the first episode when it's Carly or geeky fat kid who I don't remember his name.
Doug.
Doug. Doug or Carly. It's you need to save one of them, but you can't save them both.
Right.
In other instances, it's you can't save everybody, but you have to save somebody. And with Ben, the only reason that you couldn't save Ben at first was because Ben wasn't helping you save him. It wasn't like you had to choose between Ben or Kenny. It was just Ben, stop fucking around and just climb up my arm so we can leave before I get eaten. And because of that, I don't think that I could have willingly, having become so invested in these characters, just dropped him because he asked me to. So that was that. I feel like they set that up where even though everybody hates Ben, you're gonna have to be a pretty cold motherfucker to let Ben fall.
Yeah, the reason I try to play this game in the way that I would do it in real life if I was in actually that situation, and I hate Ben almost as much as I hated Lily, because Ben is such an idiot, and he screws up so much, and Lily...
No matter what he does, he screws up.
I know, I hate him so much, and I do want him to die, but yeah, in that situation, I don't think I could let someone go. Maybe it's just me wanting to give people a second chance, but I still pulled him up anyway, as much as I want him to die.
Speaking of Lily, I wonder how different episode 4 would be. Did you guys both leave her behind in episode 3?
I did.
She has to... Okay, when you get to the end, it shows you who your party you could end up with. It could just be Lee and Doug, or it could just be Lee.
Yeah, there's eight
Kenny.
different combinations.
But none of them have have Lily or anything in it. And I don't know if that's because somehow she dies later, and that's just not an option.
Maybe you don't have a choice. Maybe if you say you're going to bring her with you, Kenny's like, no, she's not allowed to come or something. Yeah. All I know is that I'm very curious how that would have changed. And Lily is the only character that, given the choice, I chose to leave to die because of what she did.
Yeah.
I guess the reason I left her over Doug, though, was because her death wasn't as such a immediate... I would have seen Doug fall right into the zombies, but her, I just left her on the side of the road, so she might have lived.
Yeah, she could still be around.
But I'm just saying, as far as the decisions go between people, even the guys on the farm, I didn't kill any of them because there was no instance where it was them or someone else and someone has to die. I let them both live.
What?
No,
you didn't stab them?
No, I figured. No, I figure what's a worse death? I can put him out of his misery and stab him, or I can leave him injured and he's going to get torn apart alive by zombies and have to suffer through every friggin' second of it. And that, to me, is a greater punishment than getting out of it by me killing you before you get eaten. And that's why I left them both alive. And I would have left the mom alive if you didn't have to kill her, if you didn't have to shoot her.
The part that sucked about that is I stabbed the guy. It was probably just a crime of passion thing, but I stabbed the guy and Clementine was right there and she saw it.
And that's also why I couldn't do it, because I have been so concerned about how to raise Clementine.
Clementine has to see this stuff. This is the world she's growing up in. She just has to accept it at some point.
No, but she can't. Yeah, but you can't have Lee just killing everyone. I mean, she can't have the guy that she's looking to for the right answers.
No, yeah, but he explains stuff usually. I mean, I picked the stuff where he explains. I never really lied to Clementine.
I've never lied to her.
I've never lied to Clementine.
No, and I mean, did anybody else? And this is just a side note. The doctor in episode 4, that old guy. What the hell his name is? I can't even think of his name. Vernon. Does anyone else think that should George Carlin still, if he was still alive, that he wouldn't have made a perfect?
He would have been a great
Vernon.
Yeah, he would have been a great Vernon.
I just heard that in this guy's voice, and I was like, I wish George Carlin could have done this part. But anyway, no, I mean, I feel like I'm just still surprised that you weren't, with all the things that happened in episode 4 with Clementine. You leave her with Ben, you come back, she's missing. You're running all over the place. She could.
I didn't leave her with Ben.
Jared took
I took Clementine with me to Crawford.
Even that?
No, not to Crawford. Not to Crawford. When you go to look for the boat.
Oh yeah, I left her there, but she shows up when you meet Molly.
Yeah, she shows up when you meet Molly, but then when you get back to the house, you can't find her anywhere.
Yeah, and she's taken. See, but I saw that from the beginning. Well, not from the beginning, but when I buried the boy, and there's nothing that set it off. It's just in my mind. That's what I thought. There was no cues that I picked up on, but I saw that guy standing there when I'm burying the boy, and I'm like, that's probably I didn't know if that was the guy or not, but the guy in the walkie-talkie who was talking to Clementine, I was like, that guy for sure is either going to kill Clementine in this episode or steal Clementine. One of those two things
kill
is
a little too much for the 4th episode. If anything like that's going to happen, it's going to be the next episode.
Well, the 5th episode could have been a revenge episode or something. I'm not saying that I would have liked that, but I'm saying that was an option in my mind.
On the 5th episode.
But I mean, between that and trying to find, that's the thing. Like, I had a feeling something was going to happen to her, but not that. The first time you come back from finding the boat and going through the sewer and finding Hank, is that his name? The hobo.
Yeah, you find him in the sewers.
In the sewers, dead. That I don't know. I feel like why even bother introducing that character? Somebody else could have told me to give Clementine a friggin' haircut.
He was a nice
dude.
He offered some nice wisdom when you sat and had a drink with him and talked to him on the third episode.
It
was a hobo, but he cared about having your group survive and keep going.
I feel the same way.
Go on.
Oh no, I was gonna change. Go ahead.
I would have rather him survive and Omid and his wife die.
Screw them.
I have absolutely no reason to care about Omid and his wife.
Me either, but I feel the same way about Molly. Like, I felt like Molly was a pointless character in this episode.
Molly was helpful, though. She was there to help with the whole Crawford situation, I think.
Sure, she was helpful because they wrote it in there, but there's nothing about her.
But that's why she didn't stay with you.
Yeah, I know, but that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't care about Molly any more than I liked Hank more than I liked Molly. Even though Hank was there for a short time, he was a bit of kind of optimism and honesty that, not necessarily optimism, I guess, but more so honesty that you don't get from any other characters in this.
Well, I liked Molly because you didn't really know what was going on with her. Her being with Crawford.
You needed her. You needed her because you needed to have somebody that they thought was the person on the walkie-talkie. So you thought you caught up with that person. And then really and truly you needed something, all this bad talk about Crawford. Yeah,
but that didn't last very long.
They don't let women and children stay in Crawford or sick old people stay in Crawford. I mean, that's, survival of the fittest. It sucks. I wouldn't want to stay somewhere where they did that either. But I really didn't have a real reason to hate Crawford until I was in Crawford and I watched those videotapes. And I mean, it wasn't even that bad. I mean, no.
Did you get all 3 or just 2?
Yeah, I got all 3. I'm just saying, but what I'm saying is, it wasn't that, what was going on wasn't that bad. She was bribing the nurse or the male doctor, nurse, whatever he was, with sex so that she could get extra medication to give to her sick sister. And that's, that is what it is. It's not good.
Well, that was you so you could bring it up to her later, like, I know you were part of Crawford.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, it added a little bit of villainy to what was going on in Crawford. So,
well, to address the 2 points you brought up, first they brought up the whole, is this the person that was on the walkie-talkie? Is this the person that's trying? I know they were trying to bring her in and try to bring doubt into our minds, but I didn't have any doubt that she was a bad person. I don't know what it was. There was really nothing that set it off. But once she joined the group, I was like, okay, just another person that's joined the group. I didn't think is she good? Is she bad? And I think that was the intention, but it didn't do that at all for me. And I see that as a letdown. And then going into Crawford, I thought Crawford as a whole was a letdown because they could have done some really cool stuff with Crawford, but you get inside and it's just everyone's dead.
It was a cop out. It was too easy.
Yeah, it was.
To write them off.
I thought it was gonna be kind of cool to stealthily go in there and get the supplies. But that didn't happen. I thought we had to actually get past people.
It's a fable. It was a fable. They were telling a moral story, using Crawford to tell a moral story. These people thought that they had the perfect society and that they had solved all their problems, and all they did was trap themselves, and the zombies got all of them.
Yeah.
But
they missed out on a really good a part that could have been very tent-filled. And I think they really dropped the ball at that part.
No, I don't disagree. I think that when we got there and the guy was walking away, I was like, okay, everyone in Crawford is dead.
Yeah, it's kind of sucks.
Something I wanted to talk about in this episode is that playing this episode and as I don't want to say it was boring because I don't think this is a bad episode. I just thought it was the weakest episode. But there are a lot of little things that popped out to me that I've never really, I guess I noticed before, but it wasn't that big of a deal, but it really, really stuck out to me in this episode that made it, I don't know, I kind of just wanted to like get to the next cutscene and not play the game stuff. You know what I mean?
Was I the only one that noticed that the character animations were really bad in this episode, and like outlines on characters would like stick up off their shoulders and stuff?
That was some of the drawing. Like, I know what you mean.
Like, it wasn't as smooth or as good looking as it had been in the past.
Yeah, I don't know. Some of it looked kind of weird. It didn't bother me that much.
It took some of the realism out of it for me.
Because they're trying to get this game out soon. All of it.
But anyway, no. What specifically were?
Okay, well, I have a whole page here, but like one of the big things is as you're walking around with Lee, you can click on a lot of different things, and he'll comment on them, but almost all of them are completely irrelevant.
Yeah.
Now that's everything he says. Like, now that's a staple of point-and-click adventure games. If you played any point-and-click adventure games, you go around, you click on objects. You may not actually use those in any important way, but the character will still comment on them. And in most games, the writing is pretty solid, so they'll have like funny things that they say about it, or if it's completely irrelevant, it's just a quick that's not important type of thing. But when you go around and you click on stuff, like at one point you're in Crawford and you're standing in front of this giant semi, and you click on it, and Lee goes, "Looks like Crawford had their own semi trucks." It's like, yep, they sure did, Lee. Thanks for that great commentary. You're standing in front of one. That's awesome. And then later, like, there's some paste in the schoolroom, and you click on it. He's like, "Just some paste." Like, it's just so irrelevant. Like, I don't know. There could be points where you could click on different things in the world, and Lee could at least make comments that would, I don't know, just not sound so ridiculous.
I mean, even some of the non-ridiculous ones. Like, I clicked on the dog food in the kitchen, and he was like, "That's a bag of dog food. I'm not that hungry. I'm not that hungry yet." I was like, I wasn't suggesting that you eat it. I was looking for clues. Why don't you lift the bag of dog food and see if there's anything underneath it?
Yeah.
Yeah, retard Lee. Lift that bag of dog food up.
Come on, shit.
It just sucks that because I feel like that's another missed opportunity to tell more story or add more depth into the world outside of the cutscenes and the dialogue options, like most point-and-click adventure games do. Because I felt more in this one than any other one that I didn't want to play the gameplay parts. I just wanted to get to the next dialogue option. I wanted to get to the next cutscene. I didn't really care about walking around and clicking on stuff because it was so boring.
Well, I felt like it's been like that throughout all the episodes. There was always just stupid stuff you could click on, and he had really nothing to say about it.
Yeah,
I wanted to skip all the gameplay parts because I wanted to see what was happening next and where we were going, like the whole entire boat thing. And then with Molly and going to Crawford, like I cared more about getting through just because I wanted to see what was going to happen next.
Yeah, I know. I think I blocked some of that out because I liked it so much in the earlier episodes, so I blocked out some of this dumb stuff. Like
nothing like that's changed, I don't think.
I don't think it has. It just stood out a lot more in this one because I didn't feel like there was a lot of tension. It felt like a lot of it was pretty somber this episode.
But keep in mind, that's also an issue that you run into when you decide to release your game in episodic content. You know, you release that first episode, that second episode, and people are like, "Oh man, these episodes are amazing." And then you get to that third episode, and people are like, "Wow, this climax, oh my god, look at this." And then you're like, "Oh crap, we have to finish off this story. Are we going to be able to finish it off in a way that everyone likes?" And it kind of falls to the way of like Lost syndrome in a way. You know, you're not going to be able to please everybody with how you bring it to a close. Now, granted, some of the stuff like clicking on useless items and whatnot, that's you know, those are smaller elements of the game that could be worked on. But I feel like, you know, Telltale's dug themselves a pretty large hole here. And the question is, well, I was going to go with a game metaphor. I was going to say, are they going to find a dead zombie boy big enough to fill it? But that's sort of...
Very nice.
Yeah, very, very specific. But you know what I mean.
I've been saying from the beginning that this should not be an episodic game series. This should have been released. I know they were trying something new, so it's episodic this time, but I'm hoping when they work on the next Walking Dead game that they just release it as one full game, because I think it's counter something You know,
counterintuitive.
yeah, I mean, it just kind of brings down the excitement level of.
What? Why? Not the anticipation of waiting a whole another month. You don't like that?
I don't. I'd rather sit and play. Like we're getting about 3 hours each of it. I'd rather sit down and play a 15-hour, just emotional roller coaster, crazy experience than like playing 3 hours, then waiting like a month, maybe 2 months because they can't stick to a normal schedule,
Yeah.
and then finally getting to play the next one.
I mean, here's the
And
thing.
then
Go on.
I was just saying, and then I don't always remember everything, and then maybe I'm not reeling from something crazy that just happened. So like, when something else comes along, I'm just kind of like, I don't know, been here, done that.
I think, and maybe Devin, you'll agree with this. I think that I would feel better about the episodic content thing if they had developed the whole game as one, and then released the episodes on a set schedule. But because they're developing episode 5 while you're playing episode 4, and they're developing episode 4 while you're playing episode 3, I feel like there's a disconnect in the fact that they're trying to meet so many expectations. If the story was developed, written, animated, and done when episode 1 came out, then no matter how it played out, they had a set story. But I feel like with each episode being written by someone else and being in development while the current one is being played, it affects the storyline in a way that leaves them reeling to meet the expectations, and then inevitably you're going to disappoint somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought they pretty much had the whole entire story already laid out for all 5 episodes. They just had to make the game.
No, I think the reason like 4 got delayed was because they were still getting the last bits of development done. I don't know how much of it had been written at that point, but every episode has a new writer too. That's something that it works for television, but I don't know if it works so well for video games.
Yeah. Speaking of the writing, I have another issue with that. Some of the writing, and maybe I never noticed this in any of the other ones, but some of the writing really feels out of character for Lee in some spots. Like in one part, there's a town full of dead people who, Crawford, but while alive, most people would have considered those people bad or evil people for what they have done. And multiple people in the group say how, like, they talk about the people in Crawford, how they got what they deserved. But for some weird reason, Lee is, like, defending them. And you have no choice in what you say about this. Do you remember that? Like, he talks to Molly. I forget the other person he's talking to, maybe Vernon or something. No, because Vernon doesn't know about it. I forget. He's talking to someone, and he's basically defending them, like the people of Crawford. And it just seemed really weird and out of place that you had no choice in that, and, he just...
I mean, you have to look at Lee as a character, though. I think it might be slightly out of character that he's been pretty keen to notice inhumanity before, but
there's parts where you can choose to be very inhumane in your response, and there's parts where you can choose to be very humane in your response. So why would it take the choice away from the player and then have Lee say these comments defending these people, even though, what if that's not the lead character I'm playing as? Like, I don't like that.
I mean, I don't disagree with you, but I think that to a certain degree, reacting to Crawford becomes a moot point. You reacted to Crawford before you got there because, you heard all these things from Molly, you heard all these things from Vernon and from Vernon's fat girlfriend. What the hell was her name?
I don't know, Bree.
Bree. You hear things from all of them about Crawford and how awful it is, and you react then and you say, that's despicable. How could they kick out kids? How could they kick out old people and sick people? And then you get there and they're all dead, and you get to that point where everyone's like, they got what they deserve. And I feel like, looking at Lee as a character, the things you don't get to choose, he killed a senator who was sleeping with his wife. He knows that he did it. He knows that he's guilty. He's got his regrets, but I don't know if they've really made it clear whether or not he feels he made the right choice. He's seen a lot of inhumanity. He has dealt with, almost having to eat another human being because of these sick people on this farm. And, and as you go through this, you get a certain level of dehumanization in the zombie apocalypse where you got to take your good with your bad and your bad with your worse. And I feel like at that point, what else could Lee possibly say? They got, everyone agrees they got what they deserved. They were a bad place. But what option could they give me that, wouldn't feel forced or obvious? Just if that's, you know, Lee's character, I can see how it fits in the grand scheme of things.
But I feel like a lot of those options, we've always had choices, you know, how to respond. And this was,
But how starkly different are those choices most of the time?
there are points where you can be very brutal and blunt about your feelings about certain people, and there's other times where you can ride the fence, and there's other ones where you can, you know, be the nice guy.
I don't remember when is an instance that he was like sympathetic to the people of Crawford. I don't even remember that specifically.
There's I can't remember. He's talking. You're talking to these two women. Who are you talking to?
Was it Omid's wife?
Man, who are you talking? Like in my notes, I only wrote at one point you talked to these two women. I think I was trying to avoid spoilers in my own notes, but they make comments saying how they are glad about what happened to the people in the town, and Lee response is very decided as the player, and I have no choice.
I mean, I think it's Omid's wife and Bree, if I remember correctly.
It might have been.
It's in the classroom.
Bree wasn't there, or
maybe it was just that
She was there.
Yeah, she was.
Yeah, she was.
I forgot.
I took everybody with me except for Omid to Crawford.
Yeah, so did I.
But I think that I guess the way I looked at it was I didn't see it so much as Lee sympathizing with the people of Crawford or dismissing what they did or Telltale taking away my choice of saying, yeah, I agree, they're fuckers, or you know, or being like, no, you guys, maybe we just didn't get to know them very well.
But that's the way I felt it was. It was taken away from me, like that choice. Because he even says, like, at one point, like, he's like, dang, girl, that's cold.
Yeah, I remember that. But I just feel, I mean, and I don't think that's out of character for him. You know, I feel like, I feel like just at that point in the game, I would just have been like, what do you want from? Oh, yeah, they're all dead. Whether or not they got what they deserved, or whether or not you guys were lying to us, and we'll never know. It's a moot point. We need to get the supplies, and we need to get the hell out of here.
I agree, but it's one of those things where we've always had that choice. We've always, like, when you're talking to someone and something bad happens and someone's talking to Lee about it, Lee, you can always say, like, they got what they deserved, or you could be like, well, I mean, this isn't an actual example, but you could be like, well, that's life, or whatever. You could always choose a range of what you were going to say. You
didn't get to choose about the guys on the farm when you were talking about once you realized what was going on. That was all largely forced on you. There was no point where you could have been like, guys, let's try this. Let's see if this tastes good.
I don't know. I don't remember. No, because you knew. You ran in. You're like, stop! Don't eat that.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. In that, if you look at the choices in that particular situation, yeah, you get a choice. It's much like the car crash in episode 1.
I don't feel like that's the same thing, though.
But every single option is the same thing. It's just a different phrase. If you look at it, it's like, fuck, stop, don't eat that.
No. In that instance, but I'm saying I don't think that instance is the same as this instance. Because in this instance, I'm getting the choice of choosing whether I want to be humane or inhumane in my response. But in that other one, it's kind of like, yo, stop eating this. It's a person.
I mean, in reality, if you actually look at the mechanism, the inner workings of the game, the 6 or 7 choices that they show you at the end, you know, like 75% of people did this, 25% of people did that. Those are the only ones that affect how the players see you, how the characters see you. The other one, go on.
Oh, no, I was just going to comment on that. I was going to say, I will say, this is the first time I've looked at those end stats, and they were almost 50% when I looked at them. Almost every single choice was 50%.
And mine weren't at all. Mine were like all over the place.
Yeah, mine were all over the place, too.
Okay, maybe because I did mine like super early or something.
Yeah, you might have just played super early.
This is the first time that actually wasn't close to 50% on all the episodes at the end.
See, that's the thing. It's misleading because I'd have to go back and check the stats now. And
I just know that, you know, I mean, like, yeah, I try to appease Kenny sometimes. Yeah, I try to appease other people. Yeah, I try to scare the crap out of Ben because he abandoned Clementine in the street that one time. And you know, they do have an effect to some degree, but the only choices that affect how characters eventually react to you or see you are the ones that they track the stats on. Those are the ones that matter. So I guess all that combined, I guess I just didn't feel slighted, but I can understand and see why
it's just it felt out of place, out of having so much choice in other places. It just, even though I know that wasn't a big one where like was a choice that made a difference. It was something where it's like, it's still my character. I've still been playing Lee a certain way. I would still like his responses to reflect something that I would say or would want to say in that situation.
What I thought was another cop-out in Crawford, actually, and I guess it would have just been slightly repetitive, but it could have added a whole new feel to the... Because they did a lot of Lee back on his own in this episode, like the sewer section and stuff like that.
Yeah.
In Crawford, when you have to go back to get the tape off of the doctor, and you have to go back up through the hole in the roof, over the fence, to the garage, I thought it was a major cop-out that they just, after you got the tape, they faded to black and you were back in the school.
You'd like to walk back?
I mean, how, though? The way he got back to the school the first time was he had to climb up the truck and he needed somebody else to pull him up through the roof.
Yeah.
So how did he on his own get back to the school?
Another stupid part, I felt like this one was a lot more action-heavy, which is... I didn't really care about as much. That's not really an issue, but there's a couple jump scares in there, and none of them were scary. They just seemed really forced and weird and out of place.
Yeah. I mean, this is going to get back to the emotion talk. I liked some of the scares, but...
none of it scares me, so...
Yeah, I mean, I didn't... And it's not going to... Like, I think that if I'm working on a list of my scariest moments in games, and I think that The Walking Dead is going to end up on that list somewhere, but not... it's not as scary as, say, like the original Resident Evil or anything. But the one thing that's sticking out to me as far as I can't believe you're saying that this one wasn't emotional, is Lee getting bitten at the end.
Okay, I was going to say, the most powerful and my favorite part of the entire podcast, my favorite part of the entire episode was that ending of Lee getting bit. Because I've always thought from the beginning, once I started caring about Lee and Clementine as characters, I was like, either Lee or Clementine are going to have to die, and like one of them has to die. There's no way that this series can end with both of them living happily ever after. I mean, something bad has to happen, and I think 4 has one of the best endings of any episode yet, leaving it on that cliffhangers.
Did you hide the bite, or did you tell them about it?
The first time I hit it, but then I told them right after that.
I hit it both times.
Nope, I showed them right away. The first time I showed them, because as Lee, I had been such a huge proponent of supporting the whole if you're bit, you're basically screwed, and
Yeah.
I had been that way about Duck at first. I'd been about everybody, so I was like, no, I got to show them. And Devin, if you hit it both times, were you able to get everybody to help you? Did everybody come with you to save
Actually, no. The only person I got was Kenny.
And what about Jared? If you hit it the first time and showed him, did you get everybody?
I got everyone.
I got everyone too. I had everybody come.
Maybe
I don't know if it was only
partly why,
contingent on the
but-
bite, though.
I don't think it was either, because Omid and his wife, like, they were angry at me for some reason. I think, Jared, you said... I don't remember what it was, but Kenny was the only one, because I actually wasn't going to have Kenny at first, but then he was like, you know what, you helped me with my family, and he kind of remembered some stuff, and he's like, I'll go with you. So I only got Kenny.
Now, why? Just because I didn't, obviously. What was everyone else's reason? Where did they go? They went to the boat? Where did everyone else go if you only got Kenny? Where did they go that they didn't come with you?
It doesn't show where they went, I don't think. Like,
They just said they're not coming with you.
They just said nope and walked off.
Yeah, I don't really remember what happened, because I asked Ben, like, I was like, you should come with me, and then Kenny was like, absolutely not. For what he did, we're not both going to go, so you have to choose Ben or Kenny.
He said that to me, and I was like, Kenny, shut the fuck up.
That's basically what I said, yeah.
I was like, just shut up. We need everybody we can get. Let it go.
Maybe if I would have said that, maybe they both...
Yeah, you might have just picked
more.
bad choices at the end.
Yeah, because I was just like, okay, you know what, you're right, Kenny. I'll just keep with you then.
I hope this isn't going to be like a Mass Effect 2 thing at the end.
Yeah, because I'd rather have Kenny than Ben anyway, if I was going to have that choice.
You know damn well that if you're either going to save Clementine or you won't, and regardless, you're going to have to say goodbye to everybody. You're going to have a personal goodbye with everybody, and it's either going to end with them driving off and you walking off your own way to eventually become a walker, or you're with one of them shooting you in the face.
I bet Lee walks off into the woods to die by himself.
See, I kind of foresee Kenny shooting me in the face.
Yeah, Kenny could get really ticked off. I mean, in my situation, they could get really ticked off of me for hiding it. when they
What if
find
they make
out.
what if they make
Kenny's gonna
Clementine
get super
shoot you?
pissed.
Yeah.
Did you Devin, when in episode 1, when they were like Duck's been bitten, blah blah blah, did you stand up for Duck, or did you did you side with him saying if he's bitten he's got to go?
I sided and said if he's betting he's got to go. And I did that for like everybody, and I was actually on that side the whole time. But until I'm bitten, it's a different story.
Well, that's an interesting way to look at it. I mean, no, I'm just very curious how your game's going to play. Because that, like, as soon as I got... And here's the question. Did you guys look under the panel, or did you pick up the walkie-talkie? Did you, like, when you hop over the fence at the end, you approach the walkie-talkie in the street, and there is, like, a little, like A-frame kind of thing, like in the trash. You're looking at, like, this thing, and then there's the walkie-talkie next to it. Did you look at the trash first, or did you just pick up the walkie-talkie?
I think I looked at the trash.
What about you, Devin?
I have...
Because I looked at the trash first, and that's what the zombie's under the trash, and he bites you. And I'm wondering if you just pick up the walkie-talkie. I mean, you have to get bitten. It's a major plot point.
Right.
I'm just wondering how it happens if you just pick up the walkie-talkie.
No, I think I touched the trash first, because then a zombie jumped out.
Yeah. So I'm just curious how that
Yeah, that was a
all.
great ending.
It was a great ending. But I said this to Devin already, but if I was playing this as an entire, One Piece game and I was going right through, I wouldn't think anything of episode 4. I probably wouldn't think negatively of it at all. But because I'm looking at it, I have a month to month and a half, 2 months in between each game, and I can look at it under a microscope and it's like in a vacuum, it really stands out as probably the weakest one for me.
I don't.
That's just my thoughts on it.
No, I don't
It's not
disagree.
a terrible episode. It's just one of the weaker ones.
But I mean, that's what I'm saying. I think that if the development cycle of the game had been different, then we probably would feel differently. But because they're doing it as episodes, it's like, this serves almost as like we're on the second to last episode of the series finale. And that's very hard to do. I mean, I think Telltale knew they had a gold mine on their hands with this. I don't think they expected it to become what it is. And I think that they're just struggling to.
I think they've done a decent job so far. And I don't mean to say 4 is a bad episode. It's just not the strongest in my opinion. Oh, did you guys catch the Back to the Future reference?
I didn't know what.
I think it was a Back to the Future reference. A character calls Lee a chicken, and Lee turns around and is like, "What did you call me?" Like in Marty McFly fashion.
Yeah. And I'm still working on finishing episode 5 of Back to the Future on my iPad right now.
I never finished that.
It's okay. I mean, the ending, it gets a little ridiculous towards the end, but no, I mean, our suggestion, if you've watched all of this, I would say, based on what Jared's saying, and I would agree with him to a degree, I would say wait, because in December they're releasing a disc version of the game that will have all 5 episodes on it. And you can play it back to back. And I think it's the exact same price as if you downloaded each episode. So
that's nice that they're doing that, especially for really the people who come in late to the game and are going to wait. They might as well just pick it up and just play it all through. Then they'll have a completely different experience with it.
I think that's the ideal way.
The iOS fans are pissed.
Oh my gosh! I only have the first episode. It's like, where are all the other ones?
If you read the reviews on the Apple iStore for the App Store rather for this game, I think they have the first 2 episodes out, 3 episodes. Third episode just hit, and everyone's like, "I'm not spending another dime on this game until the release dates match the dates on every other system." They're all like 1-star reviews. And they're like, "That's not fair. Why can my cousin play this game on the Xbox today, and I'm still just getting episode 3 on iOS?"
Yeah. Get a real system. Losers.
The point-and-click games work really well on iOS.
Yeah, I actually like the first episode. Like that's actually how I like to play it the best. I play it on PC on my big screen, and then I play it on my iPad, and I like it a lot better.
That's where I'm playing Back to the Future is on the iPad, and I downloaded the first episode of every one of Telltale's games is free. You can download the first episode. I don't know if Walking Dead did that or not, but no. Back to the Future, Jurassic. Yeah, Back to the Future,
don't play Jurassic Park.
I have it on my iPad. I just haven't gotten around to it.
It's garbage.
I know that it's going to be awful, but Yeah, they have those, and then some games, some old Telltale games. I just downloaded one of my favorite old Telltale games, Spy Fox and Dry Cereal. I don't know if you ever played that one.
No,
This
I've never
is
played that.
That was an old. I don't even know if that's Telltale. I think it's Embark Games. But regardless, it's an old point and click game, and it was so much fucking fun to play. And they have a light version and a version that's $7. And I downloaded the light version, and I'm halfway through the game, and it doesn't seem to be ending. So I don't know what the difference is between the light version and the full version. But the light version was free. So,
You
but I
never
played.
get the you never get the final object. You need to finish it.
Probably, but that's fine. I'm just playing it for nostalgia. But no, if you like walking, I mean, Back to the Future was good. Jurassic Park sucked. They have one called Law and Order Legacies that they put out. I actually enjoy that one. If you like Law and Order, you're gonna like Legacies because you get to play as the investigators and as the attorneys, and I think that's kind of fun.
Some of their CSI Law and Order stuff is okay. More if you're a fan of those series, of those TV series, then you'll probably enjoy it. But if you're
I'm not even
then
really a fan of Law and Order. I just like playing it because I like being the attorney and the investigator.
oh
It's the same reason I'm probably going to enjoy Ace Attorney meets Professor Layton.
well, that's different. Those games are just awesome.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. Walking Dead, I don't care what you got to say about episode 4. The series as a whole is still excellent.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I don't care what you got to say about episode 4.
Yeah, Jared, that's what I got to say about your opinion.
Your
I don't
opinion
care.
don't matter to me.
Okay, well, here's one last question. If Walking Dead, I guess it kind of brings up the question, like, is Walking Dead a game? Because none of us really care about the gamey parts of Walking Dead. All we care about is the story and the... I don't want to ask, like, is it a game, but, like, is it a triumph? Like, do we see it as a triumph as in game storytelling when it's really not hitting that much gamey parts? It's more just, like, cutscenes and dialogue.
It's like an interactive
I don't think that that's a fair question because I don't think it's any... I don't think that the way it goes about telling its story is different from any other point-and-click game.
No, I'm not disagreeing because point-and-click games a lot of times have been referred to as graphic adventures, and like different. They've always been very story-focused, but I mean, game storytelling as a whole.
I see this game as a hallmark in game storytelling because it goes certain places and breaks certain boundaries with a maturity that other games could not achieve because of the style of the gameplay. I can't think of a single other game ever created that could approach the topics that they approach in this game as far as, things with making these life or death choices and really developing attachment to characters. I mean, I cannot see any other game currently in existence that handles it with the maturity and the depth that this game does. And because of that, that's why I think it's a hallmark. I don't think it's a hallmark because it tells the story a certain way. I just think it is because I can't imagine having gotten a chance to have this experience with any other game but this.
So if they remove the game part, like the actual walking around part of it, and it kind of just ended up being like dialogue trees and
I wouldn't care
story choices, I
wouldn't care as much about the characters. I wouldn't even remotely. The ability to inhabit the character and to choose how, like you said, the ability to choose how I'm going to react to these things makes me, I don't always feel like I'm playing as Lee. I feel like I'm playing as me. And if all I got to do was choose what Lee said and then I watched him do everything else, I would not enjoy it nearly as much, and I wouldn't be able to say the same thing. Then it would just be a graphic novel, a graphic adventure with choices. And I could do that with a choose your own adventure book. I don't need to spend $6 an episode for that, or $5 an episode rather.
I don't disagree. I was just asking a question.
I agree. I like being in the moment, like where you actually have to shoot the zombies to save somebody. If I just watch that, I mean, what kind of attachment is that? Being able to actually move a reticule and shoot somebody, or shoot the zombies around somebody and save someone, has a big impact.
The funny thing is, if they got rid of those moments, I think the game would be stronger. Like, not in terms of saving people, but in terms of just trying to put shooting in a point-and-click game.
I actually didn't mind those parts.
It's a miserable.
It was just kind of a walk on.
As long as you don't compare it to like hoping that it'll be as good as like Call of Duty or something like that, then you know,
It's
realize that it's not going to be great.
They just do the shooting but much better.
Yeah, let's just play Call of Duty. They do everything better.
If you're gonna play Call of Duty zombies, if that's what you're looking for in your zombie experience, Walking Dead is not for you.
Walking Dead, okay, like if you like zombies in the Call of Duty games, Walking Dead's basically the same thing. So just play it.
Yeah, I agree.
It's probably more action packed. What did you want to explain?
I wanted to explain why I chose to hide my bite.
Oh,
why'd you hide it?
Why did you choose to hide your bite?
Why did you choose to hide your bike?
Because I'm the only person who chose to hide my bite, even though I was against everyone else every time they got bit. I was like, well, we're going to have to put you down. The difference is that in this particular moment is that Clementine is not around. So if I was actually in Lee's shoes, pretending it was me, I would want to hide the bite. And first, even though I would think that I'm eventually going to tell these people and, you know, not be in any danger for them and harm them. But I first would like to find Clementine and make sure she's safe because I really care about her. But I don't want to be abandoned from the group by telling them that I have a bite. Who knows what they were going to do? So I want to first make sure that's happening. And then I'd be like, you know what? Once she's safe and with the group, I would be okay with letting her go and walking out to the woods or whatever and becoming a zombie. Or they can kill me.
I can understand that. I mean, I thought I owed it to them to tell them the truth, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I don't feel like half those people are honest with me or anyway, so...
Yeah, that's another thing I forgot to bring up.
Them.
I don't care about any other character now except for Clementine. Like, I cared about Carly at a point, and there's other point, like when Ben first came on, I cared about him, but I don't care about him anymore. There's really no characters I care about.
Do you think, knowing now that Ben is the one that gave the stuff to the bandits or whatever, do you think that when you go back and replay episode 3 now that it's going to change how you play the game because you know what the truth is and you didn't know when you started to play?
Well, yeah, it would if I could keep Carly alive, but I know I can't keep Carly alive, so that sucks.
But my question is, I think you can keep Carly alive if you just tell her to shoot Ben.
I don't know. That'd be cool if it would, but there's so many little pieces. Like, how would they switch Carly out with Ben in later parts? And like Lily, would Lily be there? Like Lily has to. I don't know.
The question is, how open-ended is it? But you have to start the game over from the beginning.
It's not actually. Everything comes together.
I'd rather them do that though. I'd rather them take and say like, okay, we're gonna make a 6-hour game, but it's gonna be crazy open-ended. So like all these it just keeps splitting in this giant. So
all different kinds of cutscenes, different people, like all these different stories going on at the same time. Just take a year, 2 years, whatever it takes for the next Walking Dead, and make like.
Have they confirmed season 2 yet?
They haven't said. They said way back when the first episode came out. I think it was CVG that was talking to them. They said that the first episode has already done so well, and there's so much good feedback from it that there's no way that this will be the last Walking Dead game that they do. So they haven't exactly confirmed it, but you know.
Yeah.
But I would love for them to do that for the next one. Just say like, you know, we're gonna sit down. I mean, they're the only company doing episodic content right now, but honestly, who needs it in gaming?
Yeah.
You look like all depressed. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think like I said, I think that it could be a stronger game if it was without the episodic content.
I think that if this game wasn't as good, we wouldn't be complaining about it as much as it being episodic content.
Yeah, of course not.
If we weren't really like, oh my gosh, I want to play the next episode, or I want to play this all together. If we weren't like that with this, and it was just kind of subpar, we'd be like, it works for episodic content.
Yes and no, because I like the Sam and Max games that Telltale did. I love Monkey Island, and I love the version of the Monkey Island games that they did. And even though the Monkey Island game, they're a lot more lighthearted, so like it made sense having it broken up, and that was one continuous story. But like with Sam and Max, it was kind of a continuous story, but it was also kind of self-contained each episode. So I don't know. I guess
maybe it's not as much of an emotional effect.
It's not so
Wanted
much
to play
that
it more.
it's just good. It's just, I guess, the kind of story
Kind
it
of
is.
good.
The kind of good. It was a very serious story
Word.
with serious people doing serious things.
But no, I agree. I think that if it wasn't as good in between each episode, we'd be like, you know what, take the time.
Yeah.
Use this time to improve on the next episode.
So anyway, that's the end of our Walking Dead Walking Talk Doc Walk. This was episode 52 of Between the Pixels. If you want to know more about The Walking Dead or anything else we've talked about on this podcast, you can check out pixelperfectmag.com. All of our info is there. We have a Twitter, a Facebook, we have a podcast called Between the Pixels. Check it out. We have a YouTube channel. All the information, pixelperfectmag.com. Check it every day. New content on the
There's
reg.
going to be a really awesome video interview with Jeff Keighley on our YouTube channel pretty soon. So check that out.
That's it. Any final words for the people, Devin?
I don't believe episode 3 is on iOS.
It isn't?
I don't see it.
Well, I'm sorry I got your hopes up, boys and girls.
Any final words for the people, Justin Brenis?
Yeah, play Walking Dead if you like Call of Duty. You'll love it.
And, just, Devin's the worst person at Halo.
I want to explain myself.
Goodbye.
What are you eating?
Skittles is good.
Nothing.
What were you eating? There was like a
When-
box of
When
something.
isn't Devin eating?
What is that? Is that cookie?
What is that? What is that? What is that thing?
What is it? I demand to know what you're eating.
You know,
Are you doing
Justin's
that hand thing?
staring at me eat this. He's like, he wants to know.
What
I
are?
want to know. I'm angry. This is my...
You-
What are you eating?
Eat it again, Devin.
It won't get big on my screen unless he makes a lot of noise eating it.
You have to click on him.
I usually do make a lot of noise eating on it.
Take another bite, Devin.
I don't know now.
Does this feel dirty? Now it feels dirty.
Now it feels dirty.
It's a
I
honey
can't-
bun.
Oh, it's a honey bun.
Is it a honey bun? Is it a honey bun, my honey bun?
That's what we should do. We should add a section to every podcast. What is Devin eating?
I want to have a section where we review food. Let's do it.
Kotaku does it.
The honey bun's good, but not quite as good as the one I had last
Kotaku's
week.
dumb. I'm going to take all this leave that I have, and we're going to see what happens.
That's like the podcast, the pre-3 podcast. We're gonna take a bunch of whatever we said we were gonna take, and then just be like, "What you gave? It's good. Bye."
I don't remember that.
It was
What,
you who
UCB?
it was you who said it.
I say
This
a lot of
episode-
things.
This episode.
I'm gonna
brought
wash
to
it
you
down with
by
this.
Purell.
Is that one of those
pump?
pumpkin cookies? Those aren't that good.
Oh, is it a pumpkin flavored cookie or a pumpkin shaped cookie?
Both.
Also, where do you get all these? As I say, where are you getting all of these individually wrapped treats?
Out of the box.
That's all Devin eats. Individually
don't
wrapped
have-
treats.
I don't have any individually wrapped treats at my house.
I just
The
have
bomb.
The what you gave me?
Reese's.
What?
Reese's? Oh my gosh, look how she says it.
Your fiance needs to listen to episode 50.
Oh, those are good. What, the difference between Reese's and Reese's?
Yeah,
I believe it's Reese's because then you have Reese's Pieces.
it is
It's not-
Reese's.
It's not Reese's Pieces.
At the if the
Heck, you're
intro,
changing the word pieces. It's not,
No, it's
it's not
Reese's
Reese's Pieces, it's Reese's Pieces.
See, but the way it's Reese's Pieces. The way you said that's the way you just said
That's
it.
because I forgot how to say pieces.
Just the way you said it, it was funny. No, it's Reese's Pieces. It rhymes. That's
it's
the whole
Reese
point.
because a guy named Reese created them.
It's a yeah. Thanks, Mitch Hedberg.
No, that's true though.
Did Devin just get? I know he just threw his mic and got up. And
I
laughed.
actually
What the fuck? He just. Welcome to episode 53 of Between the Pixels. I am alone, and because we got into an argument about whether it's Reese's or Reese's. I'll be your host and your commentator in this episode. And I'm very afraid. I'm very afraid right now. So, Walking Dead episode 4, and how it's like Lego Harry Potter. It's not. I have to stop talking because Jared's going to use all of this in the podcast.
So for whatever the episode is for Halloween, we're gonna have a Halloween episode where we're all gonna dress up.
Okay, I already have my costume. I'm going to be Tony Stark.
All right,
I have an arc reactor and everything.
Mine's a surprise. I gotta look at the dates to see.
First of all, where the fuck did Devin go?
I don't know. He stormed off, so I stormed off.
And yeah, where the fuck did you go? I just had a 20-second conversation with myself.
I just walked over there.
Did you hear me or no?
No, I threw my headset.
Where the hell did you go, Devin?
If you're suggesting that I eat food on every single podcast, I'm for it.
No, where the fuck did you go?
Yeah, where did you go, dick?
I had to pee.
Oh, because we were talking about Reese. I thought you got mad and got up and left.
Okay, so 2 weeks from now, on the 28th, is our Halloween podcast. We're going to try to get as many people in this Google Hangout and to dress up.